function. Mary Quant is wearing her little mini dress around London, and BMC, the British Motor Corporation, is doing a joint venture deal with a Spanish company to start making minis in Spain. Yeah, so this is a Spanish-made Mini. I think a lot of people don't realise that Minis were actually made in Spain back in the 1960s and 70s. So what happened was that BMC, British Motor Corporation, was looking to expand overseas. And in the 1960s, Spain was under the dictatorship of Franco. And Franco didn't allow cars to be imported. So in order to sell this car in Spain, it would have to be built in Spain. This is really noisy. I'm going to have to shout a lot. It just so happened that as BMC was looking to build cars in Spain, a Spanish company called NMQ, that used to build engines for Renault cars in Spain, their contract had finished. So it just so happened it was a really good tie-up for NMQ and BMC to start building cars together. So they established a factory in Pamplona in Spain, and they started producing cars from 1967. They built an MG 1100 as well as the Mini. The Minis built in Spain were identical to the ones in the UK. So it's the same car, the same engine, the engine was actually built by NMQ, but the exact same specification and design as the UK one. Everything was made in Spain apart from the body panels. The body panels all came from the UK. And these are called Authi Minis. The company they formed was called Authi, A-U-T-H-I. It stood for Automóviles de Turismo Hispano-Ingleses, something like that. So production of the Mini started in Spain in 1967, and they released it. It was a version called the Mini 1275, so it's like the 1.3 engine. But it was a slightly higher spec, the wooden dashboard and stuff, but a bit expensive. So then they brought out in 1969 the 1000cc version, and that was a little bit better. They sold a few more of those, and then they brought out this version in 1971, which is the 850cc car. Now this, you're thinking, Justin, why have you gone for the smallest possible engine, the slowest possible version of the Mini? In total, they built about 140,000 Minis in Spain, which is quite a lot, really. But the relationship between BMC and MNQ died around 1976, and the factory shut down. In fact, it was then sold off to Seat to build some different cars. So it wasn't a very long relationship, and they built maybe about 140,000 Minis. It's really difficult to know how many Minis survive today, but on the classic Mini forums, the real aficionados there, they sort of estimate anywhere between maybe 3,000 to 5,000 that are still on the road. There might be lots tucked away in barns and all sorts of places, but actually out of 140,000, there's not that many left. And the ones that are like this one, they're on the road, they've all been restored, been very well looked after, and it's great to see them. Minis are great little classic cars. I mean, when I first drove this car, I couldn't believe it was 50 years old. Because, okay, it's very noisy, it's quite cramped in here. It's very slow. 850cc's. Boy, it's good fun. The Mini is quite a masterpiece of design, really. When you actually think back to why this car was developed and how it was developed and its design and its configuration, it is really, really impressive what they did with this car. And I don't know if you know the history at all. I'm not going to go about the Mini history right now, but I'd love to talk to you about it because it's something I've been very passionate about for a very long time. I'm trying to keep the revs down a little bit so you can actually hear me while we go along this road. When this car was developed in the late 50s by BMC, I swear it excels. I'm a little Benz there. It's not a fast car, but it's like a little go-kart around those open corners. When BMC developed this car, it was a very unique configuration. Front-wheel drive, transversely mounted engine instead of the traditional longitudinal. This was a big change, but the biggest change was possibly having the gearbox in the sump of the engine, which is how it became so compact. It was also possibly what caused the demise of the Mini in Spain. So what happened was that the Mini was seen as too complicated. It was seen as too different. Mechanics didn't know how to work on it. I would see it's bizarre today because all this set the precedent for the future of cars and engine configurations, apart from having the gearbox in the sump, but front-wheel drive, transverse engine. This set the precedent. But in those days, this was a headache for mechanics. We didn't really know how to fix it properly. And so what happened was that there wasn't a very good after-sales service set up in Spain for the car. And mechanics, they didn't really keep them on the road properly. They didn't really understand how the car was bolted together and how the engine and the gearbox work together. You know, the gearbox and the engine share the same oil. It's quite unique. And in those days, it was way out there. It ultimately killed off the Mini. Obviously the Mini survived in the UK, but in Spain, it had its day. What's fascinating is there's a real love for Authis in Spain. There's aficionados of Authi. They actually love the fact that the Mini was built in Spain. And the Spanish one, it seems, if you go on the classic Mini forums, they love them. I mean, how can you not love a Mini? How can you not love a Mini? Everyone loves a Mini. They've either got a story about a Mini, or they've lusted after a Mini, or they're desperate to try and drive a Mini and see how it is. I mean, you do have to, like, it is quite an experience. You know, the pedals, everything in this car is a Mini. When the pedals are so close together, you can easily press all three with one foot. It's not, nothing is adjustable in this car. The seat is not, nothing is adjustable. But who cares? It just puts this big smile on your face. And the fact, I mean, you think about the fact that this is nearly a 50-year-old car. That's what this particular car is from 1972. It's 48 years old. Well, 48 and a half. And you can have fun with it. How many 50-year-old cars can you chuck around corners? There's not that many. I think what the most fascinating thing as well is that there's so many interesting things about this car. I love it so much. But it's like, when you get in, it's like the TARDIS. It's like Doctor Who. Outside, it looks absolutely minuscule. And then you get in here, and okay, it's small, and I can touch the other door. But, I mean, you could even fit a normal dog in here. There's plenty of space. I mean, there's not a lot of power at all. This is a very different drive. If you watched my last video where I came up this road in the Ferrari, this is a very different drive. But you know what? It still puts such a big smile on your face. And that's why I bought this car. I bought this car because, well, I just love Minis anyway. I've always loved Minis. They're just so cute. They're just so cool. But I bought it because you can have fun with it without driving really fast. In fact, I'm probably well below the speed limit. But I don't care. And people see this car and they love it. People wave at you and they smile at you as you go past. It's not that expensive a car. But you don't see them on the road that much. Because the sun's in my face. The gearbox is quite clunky, and you have to remember that the brakes are drum brakes. They're not very good. So what we've got is an 800cc, I think it's about 34 horsepower engine. Well, that's what it was when it was new. Can't imagine what it's delivering at the moment. This is a car that weighs 630 kilos. You know what I love? I love the basicness of the car. I love that that's it. It's just an engine, a gearbox, and a steering wheel. Obviously, some bits under some other bits to help you get around, but there's just nothing to it. And in fact, I prefer this to the. I looked at various Minis before I bought this one, but I liked the fact that this one was like the most basic version, because I thought that held true to the whole ethos of the Mini. The Mini was developed in the 1950s during the fuel crisis, the petrol crisis. You know, that there wasn't enough fuel to go around. And fuel was becoming very expensive. It was scarce and expensive. And Fiat had launched the Fiat 500, a two-cylinder engine. People were buying it, and BMC needed something, and they developed this. This car was developed to save the planet, and it really does. Since I've had it, which I tell you, I think it's nearly 6 months. I think I've been to the petrol station once. I mean, I'm normally at the petrol station 2 or 3 times a week. I've been to the petrol station once in this car. It really does sip fuel. But you know, Minis were not... Even when BMC launched the Mini in the UK, it wasn't popular. It was very, very slow to sell at the beginning. People just didn't want it. It was too small. It was a bit weird. People weren't used to it, you know. It wasn't until celebrities like Twiggy, the royal family, started driving them and being seen in the press with them, and they started to sell. They also started to sell when they'd been in the Italian job. But here's a little fact that you may not know. The cars in the Italian job, the production company had to actually buy the Minis. Excuse the noise. But in Italy, when they did all the filming in Italy, all the Fiats and all the Alfa Romeos you see, they were donated for the film. Fiat said, no, you can have whatever you want for the film. But BMC was so close-minded, they charged the production company for the cars. But BMC, the guy in Italy, Fiat, it was Gianni Agnelli, I think is how you pronounce it. He was in charge. He basically owned Turin, probably half of Fiat, half of Italy. And he was the one that basically said, just have whatever you want. Because he knew the publicity was going to be amazing for his cars in this film. Anyway. Well, as you can see, I can probably go on about this car forever. It's quite a fun little thing. You don't see them on the roads that much, actually. People don't seem to take them out that often. You see them at like gatherings or something, but you know, just sort of driving around. You don't see them, and I think that's why when people see me, they either think I'm Mr. Bean, or they just wave. You know, it's like, wow, look, this old Mini. Because you don't see them at all. They're very, very, very rare that you see them on the roads. But there's not that many left. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there, because otherwise I'm going to be talking forever. I'll do some more videos on this car, because there's loads of things I'd love to share with you. It's just so much fun, it's very entertaining, and it's such a novel car. There's so many things that I'd love to tell you about. Well, I hope you found that interesting. Let me know if you would like some more videos about this car. If you've got any history or comments about Minis, your own experiences. Oh, it's going to change the fit there, there is no fit. Let me know in the comments. I love to hear what people think and what they say. So anyway, I will be back very soon with some more videos. So have a great day, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.